Hello, my name is Selma, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a clickable chart using Chart.js. I'm assuming that you already know how to use Chart.js because you want to click on it, but I'm just going to start from the very beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new HTML file, and I'm going to call it chart.html. I'm going to keep it right here inside this folder. This is an empty folder. I'm just going to call it chart.html. I'm going to close this part. And then I'm just going to include the HTML template right here. And then I'm going to go to my search engine and search for the Chart.js website, which is chartjs.org. And then I'm going to click on Get Started. And from there, it can get the code that can get me started into Chart.js, into creating a chart. So this is the code right here where it creates a bar chart. I'm going to be using a pie chart, but that's a very small difference. You can use whatever you want. I'm just going to copy this part right here, and I'm going to go back to my editor, and let's look at what I just copied. So as you can see, there's the canvas right here, and then there's this script, this JavaScript script, and then this part is where our chart gets displayed. So I'm just gonna take it and put it inside my body in the HTML, and then this is the script that does all the work. I'm not gonna go through it, just trying to let you know what everything does. But I want to show you something important here, is that if I add this script before, let's cut it and put it right here. Let's put it here. And then one thing you need to do is to add a CDN. So you need to have Chart.js on your computer before using it, right? And there is multiple ways you can do that. You can use npm, you can use other things. I'm going to be using CDN for this video just because it's easier. So I'm just going to do that. Just copy the minimized file and add it right here in another script. So source and then add it. Okay, let's go now. This should work. So now you have Chart.js on your computer, and then you have the script that makes it work. You have the canvas that displays it. So let's go ahead and try to open this HTML file. I'm going to open it using Google Chrome because that's what I'm using. I don't want to be jumping between browsers. So now I can see anything. But let's try to take this script from here and then put it down after the body and save. And then let's go back and oh, so now it's here. It's too big, but it's here. So that's something you need to know about Chart.js, is that you need to have something first loaded. You need to have a body, and then you need to do something to this body, right? So you need your window to be loaded first, and then you need to put your chart on this window. So it doesn't make sense that you add the chart first. Of course, unless you're using like jQuery or something that tells you that tells the window that you're using something before loading it. So that's something important that you need to know, just in case you just get like put the script and it doesn't work. Just make sure that you're putting it in the right place. Okay, great. I want to change this into charts, and I want to add jQuery because I'm going to be using the onClick function. And I'm going to be using the CDN as well for this. So jQuery, CDN, that's what I'm going to be using, right? And then just copy the minified version right here. Just add it. Yep. And then one more thing I want to do is change this bar into pi, because just a preference. I just want to use a pie chart. Let's go back, load this, and here's our chart. As I said, it's too big, and the size of a Chart.js is a bit tricky. So what I'm going to do is just remove this width and height, and let's go back and look. It is smaller, but it's not as small as I want it to be. So I'm going to be using Bootstrap just in a little like detail. I'm not going to be using like a lot of front end stuff, but I just want to make this a bit smaller because I want to add the little title here. So it just doesn't make sense that we have all of that. So I'm just going to copy the minified version as well, and I'm going to be adding it here. A good practice is to always add your CSS before the JavaScript, because sometimes the JavaScript messes with the CSS. Okay, so what I'm going to be using from this this Bootstrap that I added is I'm gonna add the div and give it class container before the canvas. So just here, div and then class container. And this is from Bootstrap. It's just going to help me have this chart a bit smaller for us to see it. So reload this, and yeah, that's a bit better. Okay, so what I want to be using the chart for, the clickable chart for, is social media research. So I'm just going to be using dummy information, but I want to make a chart for social media, for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. That's it, maybe. And then I'm going to have a chart for users, maybe per hour or something. So let's start by doing this. I have labels. So as I said, I'm just going to be using 3. Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Okay, and let's say, for example, I don't know, like number of users. I don't know the number of users for each of these, but let's say per, like million per hour, maybe. I don't know. Just like, I'm gonna put anything, 10, 30, and 50 maybe. And that's it. So now I have data, I have labels. I want to add a little header to the to my body as well. So I'm just gonna add like maybe social media users. Okay, let's go back, reload. Okay, now I have social media users, 50. Now, if I try to click on any of these, they don't take me anywhere, right? And if I try to click on one of the labels, this specific label goes away from the chart, and then I can like click on whatever I want and then get them back. What I want to do is that when I click on this chart, I want it to do something for me, right? Using this data, using the Twitter that I clicked on Twitter, and that it has 50 users. So I want to do something with this data. So first thing I want to do is add the jQuery to my script, because that's what I'm going to be using. So just add it here, jQuery, and add all of that inside. And I'm going to take this, put it at the very end of the script, down here before the end of the script. And of course, make sure that you added the CDN. Don't forget that we added the CDN earlier, because it's not going to work without it. So let's go back and make sure that everything works, because we need to know if something breaks. And it's good to make this a habit, that whenever you change something, make sure that your file is still working. Okay, so I have my chart. It's called my chart, and I'm going to be using the click function, as I said. So after this chart part, I'm going to be using jQuery for my chart. That's how I called it, or that's the default. You can of course call it whatever you want to call it, but just make sure that you change the ID in the canvas as well, because that's how we call the chart. Okay, So I want to click on this, and I want it to do something, to do a function. So a function, and then this function is going to hear an event. So it's going to hear a click, right? And from there, I'm going to, I need to hear what this event is doing. So I'm going to use something that is called active points. I'm going to show it to you in the documentation in a second. So I'm just going to say active points, active points equals my chart dot get element as event, and then I'm going to pass in this event. Okay, let's go and see what does this mean in the documentation. Let's actually take this function and search for it. So here's the API of Chart.js, the documentation, and let's scroll down. Yep, here it is. So calling this function on a chart is just basically going to return the elements at the data index. So basically, if you click on, let's say, Twitter, it's gonna give you back the data that is in here in this in the chart part that you clicked on. Okay, so let's go back. So now I have an array, and what I'm going to do is first I'm going to check if this active points is more than 0. So like I need to check that this actual part that I clicked on is not empty. It has something, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So active points dot length is greater than 0, and if that is correct, let's actually just alert something. For now, I want to make sure that this is alerted. Yes, and then else, I'm just gonna alert now. Let's go back to our HTML. And if I click here, oh, nothing happened. Well, let's see what's wrong in the code. Active points, alert. Oh, so it's get elements at events, not as event. Let's see, reload. Click on this, yeah. So now it alerts. We have active points right here. If we click on this, we don't have active points here. So that's why we wanted to use the if statement, because we don't want to be redirected to anywhere when clicking on like the labels. We want to be redirected when we click on the actual chart. But the labels for us is still a part of the chart. So when you click on it, it's going to respond. So you need to tell it not to respond. So I'm just going to leave this else part empty, because I don't want anything to happen when I click on the labels. So I'm just going to make sure that nothing happens. It's still as it was. And then when I click on this, something happens. Okay, that's great. So now that we are sure that the active points is not empty, we need to get like something from it. We need to get the data now. So first, I'm going to get the index of the slice of the pie that I clicked on. And to do this, there is a way using this active points array. So just make a variable, call it click index, and we're going to set this click index to the active points at 0 and add the index. And this basically says that we're going to get the index of the slice of the pie chart. And now that we have this, let me comment this here, get the index of the slice. And now I need to get two things. I need to get the label that we clicked on, and I need to get the value, the users, the number of users that this label corresponds to. So let's make a variable. I'm going to call it social media, for example. And from my chart, the data, the labels, I'm gonna get the label at this index just got clicked index. I want to get the label that corresponds to the index of this slice. Okay, so now I have the social media. I need to get the value of this social media. So now I'm gonna make another variable. I'm gonna call it users, and from my chart, the data, I need to get a data set. From the data set, I need to get the number of values of this corresponds to this slice that I clicked on. So I'm gonna click, I'm gonna say data sets, it's 0, data, and then I'm gonna get the values at this clicked index. Okay, and that's it. That's basically how you get the labels and the corresponding values through the clicked index, the element that was clicked. Okay, so now let's actually alert this. So let's alert social media and alert users. All right, let's go back and reload. Let's click on Twitter. Oh, space is Twitter and 50. Let's click on Instagram and 10. Let's click on Facebook and 30. Let's make sure that this does not go anywhere. All right, great. Okay, so now we know how to click on something and maybe do something on the same page. What if we want to get to another page? Maybe make another page and we want to display this kind of like more information about this thing. We can make a get request to another URL. Let's see how we can do this. So let's first make another HTML page and call it chart 2, for example. Control S. Chart 2 .html. And just add the template. Let's say, for example, social media this time. And then from here, instead of alerting, let's actually redirect this to another page. So instead of alerting, I'm going to say window. I'm going to change the location of the window to another URL. So I'm going to say window.location.href. And I'm going to take the same path, because I added the file on the same place. I'm just going to add the name of the file, which was chart2.html. And then now I want to send the things that I got here through the URL. So what I'm going to do is just add here social media equals, and then I'm going to add my social media. And then I want to add my my users as well. So I'm just going to add an ampersand here and say users, for example, equal, and then add my users. All right, sounds good. Okay, now that I have this, after I click on the part of the chart, it should take me to this link, and with the corresponding social media and users. Okay, let's try this. Let's reload. Click on this. Okay, now great. It took me to social media equal Twitter and users equal 50. And the same thing if I clicked on any of the others. So Instagram and users, and Facebook and users. That's great. So now our work on this page is done. It just takes us to another page. Let's see what we can do in this page. So let's go back and go to chart to HTML. So what we want to do in this page is that we want to take something from the URL and just display it in the body, and that's not really something that is related to Chart.js, but let's just do it real quick, just for us to see that it's possible to use Chart.js for this. So I'm gonna add a script here, and I'm just gonna say var URL string equal the same thing that we used here. So basically what this does is that it gets the string of the URL. So now I have the string of the URL, and then I'm gonna change it to an actual URL equal URL, and then actually new, and I'm gonna add the URL string. We can actually like do this in one step, but I think that's the convention. So from this URL, I want to get two things. I want to get the social media, and I want to get the number of users. So I'm gonna make a variable to hold both of them. So social media. It doesn't have to be the same variable name as I used in the other file. I'm just using it because it's just how I wrote it right now. So I'm gonna use the search params that comes in with the URL type, and then I'm gonna get social media. And I use this because that's what I'm using right here. So see, that's what I used for the name of social media. If I name this anything else, it's just gonna be this same thing. So if I name this social media 2, I have to write social media 2 right here. Okay, so that's for the social media. For bar users, equal same thing. Dot get, and then I name them users. Okay, so now I have these two things. Let's make sure by alerting them before doing anything. So social media and alert users. Okay, so let's go back and click on this. Okay, now it's alerting Twitter and 50. Now we're sure that we can get this this data from the URL. That's great. Okay, now I want to get it into my HTML. There is an easy way to do this. We use something that is called window.onload, and what this does is basically it calls a function whenever the document has finished loading. So let's make a function right here. And for this function, I want to put to inner HTML because that's what I want to put into the page. So what I'm gonna do is document dot get element by ID, and then I'm gonna call it anything that I want, maybe social, and set the inner HTML for this thing to the social media that I just got here. So this part that I just alerted, I want to set the inner HTML of this element to the social media. Then do the same thing for the users. So get element by, and then I'm gonna call them users. Inner HTML equal users, users. And now I'm gonna go ahead and in my body, I'm gonna add 2 tags, maybe an H2 tag. Oh, and then inside, I'm gonna set the ID to social. Yep, social. And down there, I want to add like a P maybe, and ID equals users. Let's go back and see. Okay, let's click on Facebook right here. So it prints out, or it displays on the HTML Facebook and the value of corresponding to the part that I clicked on. So let's say, for example, we want to write something here instead. We can't, if we wrote something inside the tag itself, it's not gonna show up. So instead, we can add it here. So let's say, for example, the number of users, and then we can add this right here. So when this is called, let's go back, and click on Twitter. So now it says we can add like a little space right here because it's going to make it look better. Yeah, so now it looks better. So yeah, that's basically how we can use Chart.js to click on charts and display something or get us to another page. Of course, it can be used in several ways, but that's the basics of using them. Please let me know if you have any questions, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.